doing the pre-recording Facebook Live intro.
It's the intro to the intro.
For what it's worth.
Baby.
This is the prelude to the CapmLew podcast. I've had more difficulty helping people spell CapmLew than I ever thought I would.
Yeah. When you see it written, it's so smooth, you know, but saying it, is it an N or
there's
an
a They Might Be Giants song that I really liked, and it's Look Me Over, I'm the captain.
Yes.
I did not know that this was so unknown, and then I realized that Captain has been the Crunch.
Yeah, it's been Captain Crunch.
Captain Crunch. But
hold on, could that be with an N though? I think it's an N. I think it's an N.
Is it with an It's with an N.
Yes.
Captain Crunch.
Captain
But
Crunch.
people say Captain Crunch.
They do.
And
do you care about anything?
I'm starting the recording. A guy doesn't even care.
It is what it is.
A guy doesn't even care. It is what it is. For what it's worth, another episode of the CapmLew Show. I'm just saying, even when people say Captain Crunch, they say it with an M.
I know, dude.
And yet I can't seem to get the spelling to happen. I'm like, it's CapmLew at gmail.com. Yeah, it's CapmLewQuestions at gmail.com.
Yeah.
This is the CapmLew podcast. Oh, CAPN? No.
Dude, what we should do is buy the domains and create another email with an N. And just have it port to the original email.
Good. There's even more. There's even more logins and signups that I can't remember the password for, or where I put the password.
It's so funny. That would be hilarious.
Guy makes an Excel spreadsheet or something. It works. And then as soon as I'm like trying to use it, I'm like, dude, where's the password for this?
I give it to you every time.
It was on there. I couldn't find it.
Well, and here's the thing. What the real problem is the two-factor authentication kills us every time. It's brutal.
Tip of the tongue, teeth, and the lips. Jeez, Lapeets, what is up? It's
Tuesday?
The tide is high, but I'm holding on. It's a Blondie lyric.
Yeah, I know.
It's a really sad, stupid song.
I knew that it was going to be a lyric.
One of the worst of the Blondie songs. If you don't agree, I'm not going to fight you.
That's on you.
I mean, unless you want to be joined in mutual combat with a guy who doesn't take off his rings.
Don't do it.
I'm over 50. Stop!
He's got the high ground.
I have the high ground, Anakin.
Yeah, don't do it.
You were supposed to bring balance.
Dude, I cry every time, dude. Oh man, such a sick scene. The I hate you, dude. Oh,
I hate you.
No, dude, it's not like that. It's like guttural. It makes me cry every time. Such a good scene from the movie.
The whole audience. In the re-showings, when you go to the late night re-showings of that, the whole audience is saying the dialogue along with them. And when it gets to I hate you, the whole audience just erupts out of their seats.
Yes.
Nobody's quoting the Obi-Wan Kenobi part. Nope.
Nope. And he's the good guy.
Actually, none of that ever happened.
It was fun.
It's just in my mind. Just in my mind. Well, we've sat down for an episode together, which makes me extremely happy. I thought, you know what we ought to do once a month? We ought to do a news events roundup.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
I think that would be really fun. So we'll put that on this ocean of cards that I made.
Dude, I wish
we're going to put that
see.
into this ocean of cards. I can pick up one of them at any time. For example, this one. I'd like to thank Life Skateboards for making the skateboards that we ride.
Yes.
I'd take a moment.
Yes.
Life Skateboards. Thank Sam. Thank Casper for making, not only making the boards, but for building out the workshops, dialing in the expertise, and making skateboards that are just, I mean, look, and you know, it's not always just a matter of opinions. Sometimes it's a matter of well-evidenced opinions. The things are good for skateboarders. Life Skateboards, the boards we skate. Someone's like, oh, I don't like. Wow, what a strange. Oh, the recording was paused. All right, we're just jumping around in our tech.
Hey, Jamie.
That means that for the beginning, only the video audio was any good.
Yeah. Until
it kicked out.
It didn't reconnect.
You know, I don't feel like it would be what we're doing if it went. I don't think that's the equivalent to it going badly.
No, it's fine.
I don't.
It's fine.
More than happy to have wobbly tech, but we give thanks for Life Skateboards, and we're grateful that Life Skateboards is doing something that is worthy of note.
Yes.
Making boards of excellent quality with concaves you just don't find anywhere. Yeah. And offering mild concaves too, if you're afraid of deep concaves.
If you're scared.
That was what Casper just did a thing. I thought the ads that Casper is making for Life Skateboards are
sublime.
They are.
They're sublime.
They're sublime.
They're just so good.
Nice. I like that. Sublime. What a great word.
Me too.
I like good words, man.
Yeah, me too.
And we have words. We have all the good words.
Stop, dude.
We have the best words.
We have the best words.
Wasn't that a politician who said that?
I think.
That was one of those moments. Oh my goodness, we're fired.
Somebody
Didn't a politician say that too?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, everyone, loosen up.
It's fine.
Loosen up. Oh my gosh, so many things happening.
Keep your hands and feet in the vehicle at all times.
Yes, manténganse alejados de las puertas. All right. Do you know what that means?
Keep your hands and feet. Hold on, say it one more time.
Manténganse alejados de las puertas.
No.
It means stay clear of the doors.
Of the doors. I knew the puertas was the doors. Yes.
Yeah. Disneyland. So I'm going to see if we have another one here that means anything. That one's blank. I'll be using it this time.
I wish that the viewers could see the ocean that I'm looking at right now.
It's an ocean of cards.
It's beautiful.
It's not quite as oceanic as it could be. But what is this? Has skateboarding died on us again? I continue to run into evidences that possibly we're in a cataclysmic die-out of the skateboarding culture and industry. That's fine. That's fine. I'm looking at some of these are just too meta.
Too meta.
Some of them are too meta for now. But I thought we should do a news roundup once a month. I thought that might be a good thing to add in.
Yeah. Really?
Continues to pause. Just continues to do its thing. Let's see if these are even on. They're not. They're not on. Now I plugged them in.
Okay.
So now they're on. Now it's stopped again.
Oh.
Yes. All right, now we have crossed a threshold.
Okay.
At which I would like to register my hot displeasure with our tech.
Yeah.
I went from being content and open-minded to hot displeasure.
The entire time.
Didn't know.
We thought that he was well seated within contentment, but we found out that you're on the edge, dude.
Thought I was chill. Yeah. Turns out
I wasn't.
I wasn't.
He wasn't.
I wasn't at all.
So
I thought I was stable. I was volatile the whole time. Whole time. Well, so much for being so proud of myself for being so chill.
That's so funny.
So we're starting here at CapmLew Podcast. There've been so many things to talk about, but what I thought we might do is focus in a little bit on the skateboarding today. We haven't focused heavily on the skateboarding for some time because so many moving parts, and I feel like just a palate cleanser, even for our non-skateboarding friends who listen. Thank you, dear listeners, by the way. We'd like to thank you. We're available on Apple, Spotify, Google Play,
Podbean.
The Bean. We're on the Bean. And I'm sure we'll be off of all of them one of these days. One of these days for
violence.
Obliquely transgressing the boundaries of what can and cannot be even discussed in the most mild terms.
Oh my gosh.
But one thing that can be discussed in less than mild terms, probably not, is skateboarding. Like the actual doing of it. I just got back, did a half-hour cast yesterday about going to this thing I went to. It was a Christian Journey. Made me nervous because Christian skateboard ministry, that when I hear those words together, I get twitchy. I get twitchy. And it's not church hurt or deconstruction that's at work. In fact, it's really not that. I'm not into either of those things. For the first one, forgiveness. For the second one, faithfulness and perseverance. As well as a snoot full of evidence. Man, we should be much more rational and reasonable in the way that we approach these weird long-term. I say weird, but I mean it really can seem weird. None of us got done asked to be born, and it can be a bit of a head scratcher or even a whole body shaker to engage with the Almighty and His deals, man. The guy is unchained.
Yeah.
But today I wanted to talk about skateboarding because I just was around a bunch of kids. A bunch of them kids. They were all like 20-something.
Well,
some of them were 30-something.
Yes.
A bunch of them had kids of their own. And
did you get to skate while you were there?
Yeah.
How much of your time was spent skateboarding?
Well,
actually.
Okay, so on my way out, I recognized that not only am I of a certain age, but I have allowed my body to
degress.
Yeah, like I've become less conditioned.
Yeah.
I have a right calf that needs care before I pound on it.
Yeah.
And I recognize that I'm not going to be like straight out the van. And like, I think the biggest thing I did was I just feel like all I did was just doodad around.
Yeah, that's nice.
And I did. I enjoyed it, but it was, I did not fulfill the destiny.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, I declined.
You declined your own destiny.
I declined to fulfill destiny
Yes.
in regard to the shredder's journey of measuring up.
I'm really enjoying the way you're talking about this right now.
Are you?
Yeah, I actually am.
It's good.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying describing it because it's true.
Yes.
I went out there and I just had a big wide board. Like my board was 10.75 or 11 inches wide, and I just cruised around. And the most challenging thing I did with the greatest chance of injury was at the New Albany skate park.
Is that the one not under the bridge but close to under the bridge, right next to the river?
Yeah, to cross the river from Louisville. Yeah, we spent 2 big sessions there.
That's awesome.
At that park, there is an up the bank to a triangular pole jam.
You did that?
Yeah.
Really?
You think that's big?
That's gnarly, dude.
Oh.
That's insane.
Oh.
Good for you. That's sick. I
Thanks,
really mean that. I'm not trying to be like an asshole.
Really,
That's actually badass.
That's
I was looking at that last time I was there, and I was scared to touch it. That's because that's a round rail, and it's pretty big.
It's round.
Yeah, that's freaky. That's cool.
The whole time I was doing it, I did it. I don't know. I think I did it 3 times the first day, and I don't know what I did. I split. I had 2 sessions there, and they're kind of a fog because I was experiencing some form of, I don't know, I'm going to have to debrief from this for a long time, but there was really some deep feelings about doing the skateboarding with people. Also, the Christian ministry clique.
Yes.
Really I've seen sides of the Christian ministry thing.
Yeah.
I am a Christian, and I have a sense of vocation regarding the good news about Jesus, the reality of His kingdom, His return, all the apocalypse, all that stuff. And in my life trajectory and the series of choices that I've made over these years, I made the decision to start a non-Christian company, do business, and let my life and the way I live, speak, and treat people either be or not be. Either we could call it representative, or we could call it like, I either am or am not a diplomat for that kingdom. You know what I mean?
I do.
This is actually embodied really well in this scripture that I turn to a lot. Boy, this Bible is huge.
It's massive, dude. There's no way.
Gotta say, I ought to take this on a road trip for my only Bible. It's massive. The thing, this is Luke's head.
Dude, it's massive.
And this
it weighs
is how
like 5
thick
pounds.
it is. It does.
Yeah,
I ought to go on a
massive.
motorcycle trip and just give this an entire saddlebag.
Yes. Just
I ought
one
to
saddlebag.
Just like go on a trip and be like, no, I do not have a change of underwear or socks because I decided to bring the Word.
The Word.
This is a Bible thumper's Bible.
Yes.
This is a thumping Bible.
21 point.
And I always forget where this is. I always think I think it's in 1 Peter 3. And then I look somewhere else for it, and then it was. Yeah, there it is. It is in 1 Peter 3. And it says here, though there's a lot going on by the time it gets to it, right?
Yeah,
By the way, if I ever quote a Bible verse to you, let me give you a hack. Don't trust me. Go and open the Bible, read around it, and see if what I'm saying it says is what it says. There's so many people who want to pick your pocket with a Bible verse.
It's true.
And I hate that. And I don't think you should trust me at all. I think you should go see if it really says what I said it said.
I liked it.
Thanks, bro.
It's a good, go.
I was just wondering if that was even a sentence. At the
Yeah,
end of the day.
I'm down.
So it says here, but in your hearts, honor Christ the Lord as holy. This is speaking to me as to like how I decided not to join in with like a ministry after trying several times.
Yeah.
Because I kept getting kicked out of ministries and kept getting banged up and wailed on
Yeah.
by ministry leaders who are like, I've got so many stories I could tell, like so many times that it was like, man, it's getting super gnarly right here.
Yeah.
So gnarly.
Yes.
I had no idea
Yeah.
that being involved in these Christian ministries would result in such a gnarly thing happening between the people.
Yeah.
And now you have to move to a different city.
Yeah.
You know, you have to move to a different place. You know, like, wow, you people are savages. You know,
Yeah.
and just like at the drop of a dime or dollar,
Ooh.
you know, and
Yeah.
so this is what I decided to do. I started a secular company.
Mm-hmm.
I included middle fingers and hand rolled cigarettes and all that. We hooked up a board
Yeah.
for a kid.
Yeah.
And the guy who was buying the board, it was a life board with the with my graphic on it, you know,
Yeah.
the Barney graphic on it. And he's like, let's put a life sticker over that. He's like, over that blunt.
Oh,
And I
come
was like,
on,
he's
man.
not,
It's
he's
not
not
a
smoking
blunt.
a blunt.
He just got
And
off
he's
work.
like, what do you call that? And he's like, dude, that's a hand rolled
That's
cigarette.
That's a rollie.
And I just was laughing so hard because I realized that like.
How many people have thought that that's a
Well,
blunt over the years?
well, the thing is that if someone thought it was a blunt and then they were like, you know, hung out with my company,
Yeah.
and maybe at some point they might do what this scripture's talking about. It says, in your hearts, honor Christ the Lord as holy, always being prepared to make a defense to anyone who asks you for a reason for the hope that is in you. Yet, do it with gentleness and respect. Drives me mad.
I know.
Because in this sense of calling to share the good news and the hope that I've found for me, I don't join well with those who want to front load this heavy bandwidth of proclamation into their brand.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, it doesn't mean that I don't like it.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that I don't agree with it.
Right.
But I don't like branding 7-ply maple laminate or my motorcycle cool guy thing or
Right.
what I don't like branding that stuff with something that isn't, that a 7-ply maple laminate cannot be,
Yeah.
or that a motorcycle cannot be.
Yeah.
And I prefer to, if there's anything about my actual daily lived life that is in any way like effervescent of actually that Jesus is real to me. And if that could happen to any degree to which someone might actually be inquisitive, then I'm so happy to answer the questions that they have about that hope that's in me.
Yeah.
But it also says to do it with gentleness and respect.
Yeah.
And I'm down, dude. That's a very gentle and respectful way to live. And
Yeah.
it's a fulfillment. It's a fulfillment of the command of Jesus that we should share the good news with the world. Now, it's not the only passage of Scripture that speaks to that issue. It's not. And it's not the whole story about how Christians go out in the world and do that. But
Yeah.
man, going out to a Christian skateboard ministry thing was heavy, because one thing I didn't want to do is like be popping holes in everybody's balloon and
Yeah.
poking holes in their glass ceilings and like
Yeah,
that.
sure.
Got out there and these guys just weren't like that.
Yeah.
It was really nice. These
That's
guys,
awesome.
I mean the leaders of their groups.
Yeah.
You know, I mean that the leaders of this thing did not resent me bringing my perspectives from that weird dynamic mix of me and the Holy Spirit, or, you know, and like my brain and my mind and my soul and my spirit,
Yep.
and the mystery of God calling me his friend, his little brother, and his son,
Right.
you know, in this grace that we have. And I wound up, yes, I did. I got to skate. I got to skate.
I'm happy, dude.
I did. I got to skate with people who I could riff with and not ruin their day.
Yeah.
And I did do that pole
Jam.
I did. I
Yeah.
did it multiple times. I
It's a
only
man
fell
killer.
one time. It was not a man killer to me. You just got to be up enough.
Yeah.
And I didn't hurt
Yeah.
my right foot.
Good.
I considered that a singular accomplishment. It's weird, you can't actually put that in a skate video, that a guy's foot came home working better when I left. I was better when I got home than when I left.
Yes. Having worked it out and stretched it out and done all
I
this
did.
stuff. Yeah, that's sick.
I
dude.
did. But the youngsters were accomplishing feats of daring do at
Yes.
great personal risk.
Yes.
They were. And there were indeed times when an old man has to avert
His gaze.
his gaze,
Yeah.
because it was just these boys were hucking themselves down things.
Yes. For sure.
I spotted a couple of lost time injuries on their way to happening,
Yeah.
but I understood they were filming for a thing, and they did get their clips.
Yes.
They were good little soldiers of skate. They were good little soldiers of skate. They got their clips, and it was exciting. I tend not to be terribly excited about such accomplishments because of their ephemeral nature.
Yeah.
They are ephemera,
Yes.
not lasting. They're
Yeah.
gone like a mist.
Yeah.
Although I will say, in this day of digital media, they will make a nice loop to play at your funeral. They will. It'll be
my gosh,
rad to
dude.
go to some of these funerals, and there's
Yeah.
a silent loop on the wall, maybe some nice music.
Yeah. Right behind
You know.
it. Right. Yeah.
But I mean, you could play a highlight reel at my funeral too. It will be at least 35 seconds long. Just loop it.
Just loop it.
Change the song.
That one front slash I did that one time. Yeah, it's beautiful too.
There are plenty of me front slashing things.
Yes, I love it. I'm really glad you had a good time. I have been to many of those. I think I might have been at the original Crush conference and went maybe almost every year, except for this one.
Crust conference.
It's the Crust conference.
Crust. You know, I was laughing because I was saying it should be pronounced crust. Crust.
Crust.
And
Like
just you
hash
gotta
law.
get in.
Yeah, and you
I did
said
say the
crust.
words hash law as I
Yes.
described my skateboard making workshop.
Good for you, man.
My skateboard making workshop is every bit as hash as whatever vehicle Darren Navarrete is driving lately.
It really is, dude.
Having been in the past a working mortuary,
Yes.
my basement workshop is super gnarly.
Yeah.
And however, not haunted anymore. I have invoked the name of the Lord of Hosts over my home, and so now it's a lot more interesting for those who would seek God, and a lot more boring for those who want to commune with the dark spirits.
Yes. 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 The dark arts.
So about skateboarding,
Go ahead.
I started making myself a list
Of?
This really motivated me. It really touched me.
Okay.
And down in the cockles of my heart.
The cockles.
Possibly the subcockle
the
region.
subcockle region. What was this list? I'm very
I
interested.
started making a list. I'm starting with things I can do. Things I know I can do within 3 tries. The things that are mine.
Okay.
But that was more of a mental list because it's very short.
Yes.
Has about 5 things on it.
Yeah.
They're all cool.
Yes.
But there are only about 5. There might be 10.
There's probably 10.
There's probably 10, but none of them are feats of daring do.
No, but they're like, yeah, they're maneuvers.
And by the way, to clarify, my goal is not to accomplish these feats of daring do.
Yeah.
It's not. But I kind of rounded a corner. Okay, remember how we've done multiple, I think 2 different long-form conversations about what the kids call the battle?
Oh, yeah.
I'm not sure they call it that.
Yeah. Yeah, kind of.
So everyone knows I tend to occupy a fairly, I take an antagonistic view
Yes.
toward the battle.
Yes.
Right? Whereas Luke takes more of a protagonist view
Yes.
toward the battle.
Depending on context, yes.
Depending on context.
Yes.
So I still hold my perspective.
Okay.
I do.
Yeah.
I didn't all of a sudden, oh, you know what, I came away and I just love it when people are angry at themselves.
Yeah.
I love that they doubt their self-worth and their fundamental value based on whether or not they can do some trick, and they're willing to try 100 times. And after they do it 100 times and they finally land it once, they're so elated. You know?
Yes.
Because that means,
No. Crickets?
what does it
Yeah,
mean?
what
What does it mean?
Hold on. Yeah, now that we've
No.
arrived.
I was ground zero to the witness of battle.
Yeah, sure.
And I watched because they were filming,
Yeah.
you know. And I'm just checking to make sure all of our tech is still running.
Yeah.
I see that Miklush on the live feed. Yeah, catch us on Apple or on Spotify or on The Bean.
The bean.
These go onto YouTube sometime later. We have a YouTube channel. We don't plan on it ever doing anything.
Don't worry about it.
Almost certain that several of the topics that we've been willing to engage will get us canceled. They're changing rules left and right, and then they're going back and they're nuking channels based on revised rules today applied to content that was okay yesterday. And we always knew that if big corporations ran free speech, that it would be like this. So what's anyone whining about?
Yeah, come on, man.
Yeah, find a real person and go talk to them. You know, there's no sense in whining about it.
1984 has been out for like 40 years. You had your chance.
Gracious. Yeah.
So hold on, I'm very interested in this list. But
So,
the bigger
I started making a list.
Okay.
This was a good time for me because
Okay.
it's been a long time in skateboarding since I had very few people who wanted me to come out and skate.
Okay.
Because I'm such a hater. Because I always talk shit on the industry because I'm always, you know, the way I am. And I mean, I this one time I came out for this old man, I guess it was an old man Saturday session, and this guy, one of the guys, he was just meeting me, and he asked me a question about trucks and geometry, and I was like talking about trucks and geometry with the guy, and then I was talking about how the base plates had been hogging out on indies really badly.
For sure.
And how because of that I had actually stopped making aerospace quality hardware for my brand, Midwest Blue Collar Hardware. I stopped with the aerospace quality because we needed softer hardware that would break instead of hogging out the base plates.
Yes.
Because it was India at the time. They had just switched their whatever batch brokered, you know, Chinese, foreign. So they started doing this.
Yes.
And another one of the guys up top just groaned.
Oh my gosh.
He just groaned. And he just skated away. And I thought, I realized that like the whole bunch of them were just super sour.
Oh yeah.
On me.
Yeah.
And that I'm a pain in the butt. And you know, like there's several skate parks where I've been put on notice. If you show up at this skate park, we're gonna beat you up, or you're gonna get ridden off the road and go home in a body bag, and like that, and all because of industry stuff. I am whining a little bit here, and I think it's not very profitable, but I came to this thing kind of, and all of a sudden I'm skating with people who they were like really happy I was there, and they made some of the jokes and talked about some of the things I thought.
Yeah.
These guys did not just they loved me.
That's awesome.
They actually loved me. They were really happy and kind and gentle with me, and I don't expect that. That's not. I think that was less about being a skateboarder than it is about that these guys somewhere ran into some sort of a message or doctrine that they're supposed to love people.
I know, crazy, Doug.
Yeah.
Well, and also almost every single one of those dudes, I have mentioned you by name many, many times to many of them because I've spent a lot of time with a lot of them. That's another reason I'm bummed I couldn't go, because I've been talking about, my friend Lou, and the worlds were colliding and I wasn't there to watch.
Well,
so disappointed.
It was hilarious to imitate. All of us were imitating you. I kept saying, like, I'm not even having that much fun right now.
Dude, that's one of my
doing
favorites.
that one. Kept doing that
Completely entitled to the maximum amount of fun at all times.
Even when I was not saying something you say,
yes,
I was saying something I say, I
Yeah.
was still imitating you. I was like, I don't have that much core strength. I don't have any core strength.
That's so sick, dude.
So
That's awesome.
these guys encouraged me. I came away very, very encouraged that these guys they loved on me, and they it was very, very nice, and I sincerely thought about joining their cult several times.
Several
And I
times.
realized that I already had 30-something years ago.
Yes.
And but so the skating was good. And the thing about these younger skaters, a lot of them were in their 20s and under.
Yeah.
They're really skilled, and I can't even backside 180 ollie.
Yeah. Sure.
I don't.
Yeah.
I'm sure I can.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure that it's in me.
Yes.
But I remember when I was young, I looked at that and I was like, why would I?
Sure.
I'll have to stop so many times to learn that. I'm very stuck in my ways in
Yeah.
my skateboarding. And it's made it so that I can go out and I can skate a whole session and do quite a few things with some stability. I'm taking it down. I don't skate things over 5 feet without serious consideration now.
Yeah. Right.
But I was skating this one. The youngest one of us was 15.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like doing these backside 180s where he just scooped his board and just straight to backside, scooped it, just effortless. And I pointed at him and said, you know what? You made me want to learn that. I want to learn to do those like you do them.
Yeah, that's the way
Because
that I do mine.
when
That's awesome.
I was learning backside 180s, which I did do,
Sure.
you popped and lifted and landed them.
Yeah.
Like
sure.
you did the frontside 180s.
Right.
you know? And I could do frontside 180s knee high every time, no problem when I was young.
Yeah.
And it just fell out of it.
Yeah. Sure.
It just fell out of it. One time I put on army pants.
Yeah.
I went skating with one of my team guys. And I somehow putting on army pants brought back big backside 180 pops. Like New York City streets, big pop 180s. And he goes, where have those been?
Yeah.
I was like, it's the army pants, dude. I couldn't remember them without the army pants.
They've been stuck in tight pants, dude. The army pants are a little bit
It
breezier,
wasn't even that my pants
Really?
were tight.
It was just
like,
literally the army
I put
pants,
on the
the
army
presence.
pants, and all of a sudden I was doing the tricks I did in army pants, like tail slides and backside 180s
That's so
and stuff.
sick. Yeah.
I was like, it's so mental, you know? It's so mental.
That's awesome.
And for me, skating is very mental and emotional, and so lots of times I just take it down to absolute brass tacks. with
Yes.
Very little motivation to perform.
Yeah.
I'm out there just to feel the feeling.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I'm just huddled.
Yeah.
But so I started making a list of all these things. I made it on my iPhone.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, well, one thing I don't do very often, like 50-50 grinds, 5-0 grinds. Well, I don't do them backside very often. I have done them backside. Nice
50-50
long ones,
grinds?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have.
Yes.
But, like, no, own them.
Just do them.
Own them.
Yeah.
Own them
Yeah.
just own them.
Yeah.
5-0 grinds.
Ooh.
Like, sit on a 5-0. It's fine if I touch my tail.
Yes.
Sit on 5-0 grinds and do those front side and back side.
Yes.
Smith grinds. Well, I can ollie front side Smith grind. I never do it.
Sure.
I need to own that front side Smith grind off of an ollie.
Yeah.
I need to own manuals, ollie manual on a block. I need to start doing all these things until I own them, you know.
Yeah.
So these are all really low impact things, and I realized like I haven't done a tail slide since 1990.
Oh my gosh.
I used to do front side tail slides, never did a backside one, you know.
Yeah.
Start learning front side tail slides. And I realized like, wow, this is actually something at where my headspace is at, that I want to make a list
Yeah.
and start to really structure what I'm learning
That's
and
sick,
grow in this. And I started to feel really good.
Yes.
And this has informed my emotional position on the battle.
Yes.
I want to take us to a moment.
Go ahead.
I was on this trip, and we were sheltering under shade. There was a big block, and one of the real rippers, this kid was jumping down stairs, big sets.
Yeah.
He could jump down and bail off and be relatively uninjured.
Yes.
I'm not sure.
Yes.
Because this guy he's naughty muscles,
Yeah.
super strong.
Yeah.
I swear, he could tear a phone book in half.
Sure.
A little skinny guy.
Yeah. What was his name?
His name. I don't know if he would like me saying it.
Okay, that's fine. We'll talk about it later.
Because what happened under this overpass we were under was he was attempting a trick. It was a backside 180 into a 50-50 grind.
So you're gonna switch on the 50-50?
Yeah.
Or backwards?
Yeah, so he's doing, or a fakey 50-50. But I think we'll go switch because he wanted to switch ollie out.
Okay.
I didn't know he wanted to switch ollie out.
Was he riding up to it front side or backside?
He was riding up to it front side.
That makes sense.
That means it was on the front side of him when he rode up to it.
So
And he's backside 180 ollie into a 50-50 grind.
Yes.
With a switch ollie out.
Okay.
And the ledge was tricky.
Yeah.
It was rounded, it was worn, it was waxy.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many attempts he made, but judging by the amount of time, because when I showed up down there, he had already been going.
Yeah.
And his filmer was in the sun.
Oh, just
cooking.
Just baking.
And his filmer was a grown adult.
Yeah.
And the filmer's in the sun just serving, man.
Yeah.
Being a bro.
Yeah.
For this trick.
Yes.
And I think that the number of attempts exceeded 100.
Yes.
I think it did.
I've seen it before.
I think it did.
Yeah.
And it may have exceeded 100 by a solid margin.
Yes.
It may have. I don't know. And I was just down there, and I was not going to do anything on the ledge because my body was just not, even just to ollie 50-50, I would have needed to. I have one of them thumper massagers.
Yeah.
I need to run that on my calf.
Yeah.
My right calf is a rock.
Yeah, super tight.
Something's wrong with it. It's a rock, man.
Yeah.
And I got to get that loosened up, or the Achilles begins to hurt.
And then your knee. Yeah.
I've torn that Achilles partially. No big deal.
Yeah.
But that's got it's got to be tiger balmed and
worked out
like that. So
sure.
So I was looking at this situation running.
Yeah.
And I watched, and I felt like it was really important to be supportive of the battle.
Yeah. You were like crush this guy's spirit if you had spoken negatively about it. Dude, people get so intense about it.
I did not want to get involved in a big psychology with this thing.
Yeah.
Sure. I've done it before.
Yeah.
Props to the people who I've engaged before.
Yeah.
Because I know it's rigorous. It's tough on people when I go, hey man, just really quick. Well, I wound up speaking to the filmer, who was a grown man, and I said, here's the thing, man. Is first you gotta dial in that 50-50.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta dial it.
Yeah.
You gotta have it dialed. To get the switch ollie out of it, I thought he was trying to switch flip out of it.
Okay.
I was a little underwhelmed that it was just a switch ollie that was giving him so much trouble.
Sure. Was he getting into the grind pretty consistently?
He was off on the grind.
Yeah.
He was off on the grind.
Okay.
My opinion was he tended to have his weight too far out. I
Yes.
don't know.
It's fine.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I know he was off on the grind. He didn't have his balance for the pop out.
Yeah.
And I thought, the thing is, you got to learn how to just build a campfire, put your hammock up, in that grind.
Right.
You need to set up a campsite on that thing.
Make a
Dog just
sandwich, call
walked
your
in.
mom.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Make a sandwich and call your mom up there,
Yeah,
and
right.
just go off the end.
Yeah.
Just go off the end.
Yeah.
And just get it to where you can do 3 to 10 of those in a row on demand.
Yes.
And if you can't, then you're going to get very tired.
Yeah.
And the grind wasn't dialed in, and so the next thing is even worse, harder to perform.
Yeah.
And I had a philosophical conversation in low voices because I wanted to be encouraging to the rider who was riding.
Yeah.
He was trying something that was so difficult for him and impossible for me. I don't know, I've never really spent time trying to dial in a backside 180 into a 50-50 grind.
Yes.
And I know that what I would start with is the stall.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
I would start coming up and just backside 180 onto it, and then I don't know what I'd do. I'd probably a 270 off.
Yes. And I'd probably come at it almost perpendicular and start trying to do little almost alley-oop motions, almost perpendicular.
So the whole concept of, hey, we build to that.
Yeah.
And part of the conversation was, the videos that made the most impact to me. First, there was riding it. And I've told the story before about being really turned off by a demo. As a child, a little child, 12 years old, being so turned off by a demo.
Mm-hmm.
I went to a demo. Gons was there. Christian Soy was there. Grigley was there. It was the Vision Streetwear team.
Yeah.
There were really big names there, and they were breaking their boards.
Yeah, that sucks.
And I was like, I don't want any piece of that.
I'm out.
Like, if I broke my board, I would literally cry all the way home.
Yes, right.
And the cheesy duck face thing, and the flare, and the garish colors, and the constant saying Vision Streetwear, constantly saying it over a PA. It was such a sales event. I never liked being sold to when I was a kid, and I always related to more street level stuff. It's one reason I loved Shut.
Sure.
When Shut came up, they were pressed in Maine, cut on a rooftop. They were rough. They were strong. It was just the brand that I wanted to be all about.
Yeah.
Thought it was awesome. And one time I was asked whether I was on the Shut team.
And you said?
No. I said no.
That was your chance.
My chance to what?
Lie to a stranger about the money you're not Shut.
No.
You fool.
That's funny.
Did the guy get the trick?
No, yes, I think he did get the trick.
Good for him.
He did get the trick, and I hope it makes it in the video, and I hope that he can recline in glory, being fanned with fig leaves and fed grapes by, you know what I mean?
Well, I'm intrigued by that story because if you were to just tell me that story, I would think that you would be even more entrenched in your, semi-antagonistic view about the battle. But it seems like maybe the opposite happened?
No.
Okay.
No, I didn't come away resenting the battle.
Sure.
I came away with a tender recognition that, but this is where some people are at. And they're not going to get somewhere else by me just shading on
that's 2Ds
where they are.
Right.
That's not going to help. That's not going to be helpful.
Absolutely.
And I also wasn't outraged because part of different people learn things different ways.
Yeah.
And also culture is different now. Like there is a culture of the heroic one and done, got it on film right now. It's a whole different idea of skateboarding.
Absolutely.
And it has its own merit.
Yes.
I don't value it because it's not an enduring skill set.
Yeah.
I like enduring skill sets. I know 5 things, and I can do those 5 things wherever I go.
Yeah.
And I like that. And if it becomes 6 things or 10 things, it's going to be through very patient and gentle incremental growing. That's why I'll never be pro.
Sure.
That's why I'll most likely, no one will know my name.
Right. Right.
And I'm very content with that because
Sure.
I skate for a certain feeling.
Yep.
And I get that feeling when I do a frontside carve and I bend my knees.
Yeah.
And so I can achieve my goal in skateboarding very, very simply.
Yeah.
And I value simplicity and what I call elegance in execution. Some people call it style.
Yeah.
But I like those things a lot. I value them very highly. I love when I see them, when it evokes depth.
Yeah.
And sometimes the thing that evokes depth is a very, very impressive level of daring do.
Sure.
I think of I was watching a Video Days retrospective of Gon's, Gon's Video Days.
Yeah.
His part in Video Days is full of rocket ollies.
Yeah.
And stuff that had never been done before.
Sure.
Just done with a depth and at speed.
Yep.
And the jazz music was a nice touch. I don't like jazz music. I think it's pretentious,
I think it's pretentious.
But it was great.
Yeah. Yes.
It was great because Gon's skating is evocative of both high creativity and mild mental illness.
Oh my God.
Which
so
are
true, dude.
Two things that they are highly productive for our society. I love it.
And in my opinion, a real expertise at the very basics of skateboarding, which are the building blocks to long line, elegant style.
They are.
I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
How was the conversation you had with the filmer? How did he take it? Was he like...
He was digging on it.
Yeah.
He's an older guy.
Okay.
And he had suffered under the mental regime of having to be really good.
Yeah.
He had suffered under that, and he was enjoying me sharing that, if you watch Ray Barbie's part in Ban This, which he'd never seen.
Oh.
He's 30-something, and he'd never seen Ray Barbie's part in Ban This.
Yeah.
I was like, they shot that in 2 days.
Yeah.
Maybe 3.
Right.
And those are all things that at that time Ray Barbie could just go out and do.
Yes.
And I always loved skate, or Matt Hensley's part in Shackle Me Not.
Mm-hmm.
Not the same format as Ray Barbie's part.
Yeah.
It wasn't just 2 days, but that collection of clips of Matt Hensley, that was the stuff he could do. And he landed a lot of things and had to tack out of it, you know? And, and like that, it wasn't Barrick's rules. I think the Barrick's rules things, which, do you even know about that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it sort of is passé now.
Yeah.
But the Barrick's rules were law in the culture back when girls were not supposed to skate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which was law as well.
Yeah.
Back when they used to just hammer down on being homophobic and all kinds of just super gnarly lameness was going on.
Right. Viking culture.
It wasn't even because Vikings weren't cowards in the face of death.
Yeah. I mean, there's some distinct differences, but
maybe
there was
it
people
was
play acting LARPing like Vikings. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think that. I just when I think of Vikings, I probably don't think of real Vikings anymore.
Yeah, or LARPing like the Sons of Anarchy. You know.
No, that's my actual daily life.
Yeah.
So you've got this list that's forming out of just the basics.
Yeah.
Just the basics,
I'm still trying to ascertain what changed or what drove that on for you.
Well, there was a second battle I was party to, and I was watching a guy, and his was a manual battle.
Okay.
And I don't know how long he spent trying to get this clip, because I don't have the patience to stand still when I could be rolling around. I literally was pushing just the circumference of Louisville Park.
Yeah.
Just around and around, just going.
Yeah.
And my right foot, some bone popped into place. And got better. Yeah, it was great.
Glorious.
I wear boots too often. Been working on motorcycles and wearing boots, and your bones get out of place. But I watched, and he got to one point, and I said something to him, hey, I said, your entire self-worth is riding on this, and it's important that you be very upset that you have not accomplished this maneuver. And I thought that would hit crisp,
and it did
Oh
not.
no, I watched his. What I thought I saw was pain.
No,
Yeah,
that sucks.
I thought it would bring relief, but
Yes.
it brought pain.
Dude, poor guy.
And no, he's all right.
Okay.
He's a strong young man.
Good.
But
I hate it when that happens.
I immediately was like, dude, okay, so this is so serious to this dear one who I love this guy.
Yeah.
I love this guy.
Yeah.
And I feared that I had wounded him.
Yeah.
So I just stayed.
Sure.
And just cheered for him.
Oh, good for you.
I just
dude.
stayed and cheered for him.
Awesome. Yeah.
Even though I'm not a believer in the battle, and this guy is so skilled.
Yeah.
He could have filmed 10 other clips.
Amazing.
He could have filmed 10 other clips that day
Yeah.
instead of the one. In the time he took to get this one battle done, he could have provided an entire part. That's how talented this young man is.
100%.
But he was very focused on this accomplishment. And obviously it was tied to some very deep foundation level, stuff.
Yeah.
And I had to have a respect for that. Once I had sussed that out with a little bit of joking,
Yeah, sure.
that's what it needed to be.
Yeah, sure.
It needed to be joking and not some value judgment.
Yeah.
And so I stayed and I cheered, and sure enough, he made it. It was a really hard manual combo.
What was it?
Can't remember.
Okay, it's fine. It's just the defeated shaking of the head.
It's not that I don't care about people. It's I don't care about these ephemeral, non-lasting tricks.
Yeah.
I never have.
I always connected. I think one of the reasons I'm a bit of a protagonist in the great narrative of the battle is because I see it directly connected to the people who are inside of the battle. And sometimes there's a line, and I have to discern every time I'm watching somebody in it, whether or not a jab or a bar kind of at the center of what's going on is more helpful to them, or just to get under them and lift and say, hey man, I bet you can do this, and just give encouragement. Because that's what matters to me, is that the person knows that I care about them and that they're loved by the Almighty, and there is an aspect of that where somebody probably could accuse me of being cowardice, because sometimes I probably lean more on the encouragement side, when sometimes love probably looks like being a little bit more bold to be like, oh, just make sure that you land this, because if you don't, you're gonna go to hell.
It's one of my things is I am often provoked. I often feel provoked by a sense of love.
Yeah.
That okay, what we're encountering here is actually a deception.
Yes.
At the core of your mind.
Yeah.
There's a lot of your self-value that's bound up in this moment, and I think that we get in these places in our lives where we don't understand that we have believed things that are actually detrimental to our well-being.
Yeah.
And we hyperfixate on achievements, on successes, in things that don't matter in order to compensate for a real question about our value and our worth.
Yeah.
And we engage and we build into structures in our minds that are actually almost impervious to anything but the most direct confrontation.
Yes.
And saying to someone with kindness and gentleness, or with humor, hey, I perceive that you are really bound up around this. I think that it would be super great if you did 10 other things that you can do every time.
Yeah.
And then came back to this after you have a nice drink of water.
Yes.
And you probably ought to have yourself a little prayer.
Yeah, absolutely.
You ought to have a little moment with the Almighty and reflect upon how valued you are.
Yeah.
And how much you are loved.
Yeah.
Right where you are. And then come back at this thing, a little bit fresh.
Yeah.
And I'll never be a fan of the battle for the battle's sake.
Yes. No. Yeah, I definitely lean more towards encouragement, but a lot that comes from, I think a lot of people, especially when they're in the battle, they feel super raw and super vulnerable, and people are in an ocean of whatever the antonym of kindness is,
Yes,
you know,
they are.
in an ocean of meanness or not understanding or of fear that, you know, if they can't do this, then they're, you know, nobody's going to think they're cool or something. So I try to frame up my encouragements kind of inherently in such a way that they know that however this goes for you, I got your back and I care about you. And I do like watching people try something hard and then accomplishing that difficult task. Now there's a bit of a subjective line inside that whole conversation in which I kind of flip over, and I'm more on your side where I say, you know, better land it or nobody's going to like you. You know, I love saying that because it really does get to the heart of what's happening. And it's always a bummer when that hits a little too crisp and you can tell that they're so raw that saying that even joking has really cut them in some way. You know, it's hard to navigate. People are a mess. They're a total wreck. And it is a sad thing. And in that way, I don't like the battle because I think it's just a playground for people's insecurities. But I like it in such a way that a person could look at their insecurity and overcome it by trying really hard at something and having people around them that care about them and are willing to stick with it with them, you know.
Well, there is value in perseverance and hard work.
Yes.
There is. And that means there's value in these battles as well.
Yes.
And I have to yield to the reasonableness of that assertion.
Sure.
You know, it's not the way I like to play. I might be myself a little cowardly. I don't like to get hurt doing things that are not high value to me.
Sure.
Like maybe I'm just different.
Yeah.
And I think there are a lot of people in skateboarding or who would be in skateboarding if more cultural support were given by our media and that's why we're doing this, giving cultural support to people who, as much as they may admire folks who fight that battle and do the 120 tries to get the one clip,
sure,
they can't relate to that as inspirational.
Oh, absolutely.
In fact, it has the opposite effect on them.
Yeah.
Many of these people I'm speaking of are actually young.
Yeah.
They're looking at skateboarding and they're discerning that this is not something that I can do.
Yeah.
By seeing that that's the predominant, I mean, that's the vast majority of what we have for cultural media. I was watching a Christian skate ministry tour video today, and my takeaway from it was, I can't do that. Like there's no doing that. Like I couldn't spend a day with these guys posted up on these very, very, very difficult. I mean, I would wind up overdosing on caffeine, you know, because all I would want was to be sipping a Starbucks.
And just chilling in a retreat.
Because I just don't have that dog in me.
No.
I just don't.
No.
And, but then I remember all of the tour videos we did with, when I did Fickle and Midwest Blue Collar.
Yeah.
Like what we produced, we had lots and lots of tricks in there.
Yeah.
And some of them were me. I'm not a guy who's going to ever do a part.
Sure.
You know. But I did do a daily grind one time that was passable for old man skateboarding, you know.
Yeah.
But I never pushed my guys. I always pushed the opposite way on my team.
Sure.
My team, I never had a problem. I never had a conflict by telling them, hey, look, on this tour, what's important is not that we blow minds and blow people's hair back. What's important is that we skate with people.
Yes.
That we enjoy being with them. So whatever skating you do we had car time a lot. And I was like, whatever skating you're going to do, let it be the skating that you like to do, not the skating that you think you ought to do.
100%.
I don't like when the skateboarders operate representationally from what they think they ought to do.
Yes. Agreed.
And you'll have people who are very disciplined and high motivation and ambitious to achieve, and they dial in these things.
Yeah.
Usually that's through incrementally building through a lot of discipline.
Yes.
And that is respectable.
Absolutely.
I had some of them on my team.
Yeah.
And they
Absolutely.
had built amazing skills, and then they could operate casually.
Yes. At high levels.
At high levels. And that's what I like better. I like the people who, whatever level you are,
Mm-hmm.
is a degree, because skateboarding is fun to watch.
Oh man, yeah. It's a lot of fun to do.
Even low level, like Ace Pelka is a skateboarder.
Sure.
He rode for 1031. I don't know who he rides for now. I think he switched over to Welcome for a time.
Perhaps, I don't know.
Ace Pelka did a slappy like thing.
Yeah.
And slappies are a very cool, low level.
Yes.
You know, that's a very low bar of entry.
Yeah.
And in that, there were other people doing slappies that weren't as good as Ace Pelka at the million types of slappy, but you saw like, here's a very casual application of a high degree and a long time of training, a high degree of commitment.
Yeah.
This guy loved doing those, and so he got really good at them.
Yeah.
And put together a compilation of slappy grinds that was just, oh my gosh, it was thoroughly impressive.
Yeah. And just like a joy to watch.
I would hold Ace Pelka's slappy compilation up against entire decades of rail gap
for
shoe
sure.
branding. You know, the message of so much of that rail gap shoe branding was really that you're not good enough to be a skateboarder, but you can buy our shoes.
Right, and make sure that you do.
Versus like, I don't even know what board brand Ace was riding, and I don't even know what brand of shoes he was wearing, but I do know that made me want to go out and just do the stupid lap over grinds, you know, over the edge of the skate park.
Yes, I love those, dude.
There was a point, this was a highlight of the weekend.
Yeah.
There was a point where all of the boys were all in a clump.
Yes.
And they were all taking runs at something that was over there.
Yeah, something unimportant.
It was terribly important.
Okay.
And they were all doing important work as skateboarders.
Right.
And one of them, I was going the other way, sort of.
Yeah.
Just slowly.
Yeah.
And one of them went. And I knew that they were going to have several seconds in between.
Yes.
So I scooted in front of all of them and I did one of them lap over grinds. What are those? Do they have a name?
I don't even know. They're glorious.
I'm good at them.
Yeah.
There's something I'm good at,
amazing,
you know,
dude,
and I just, right?
I love them.
And you come off and I circled around and another guy went.
Yeah, so you just hit it again.
And so I went, right?
Dude.
And there were like 10 of them.
Yeah. Just every time.
So this is a highlight for me.
Yeah.
And so I kept going, and finally the last guy, his name's Cornelius.
Yes.
Nobody calls him that. They call him something else.
Don't worry about it.
Short form of Cornelius.
Some short form.
Cornelius, Lord Voldemort. Cornelius was the last one. And the thing about him is he's a good timer. He loves it. He really gets it.
Yes, absolutely.
And so he was just lollygagging.
Yeah.
And so I went again. Yeah. And I was like, dude, you have to go.
Yeah, come on, bro.
He's like, what? And I'm like, I can't stop until
you're breaking
you go.
The pattern. Yeah,
and I did a third one.
Yeah, like, please.
Like, okay. And he went, and then I finally could unlock.
You're like, oh.
I probably did 13 or 15 of these lappers, you know.
Yes.
And
that's glorious.
To me, that's a highlight for me.
For sure.
You know, yes, I did the pole jam. Yes. I did 4 ollies the entire weekend, as far as I know.
Good for you, man.
And but I remembered, I was like, you know, one time I was borrowing a tour bus from a band. The band was called All the Day Holiday.
Okay.
One of them bands.
Indie bands.
Yeah. And while I had it, I was able to take it and take a bunch of people up to the Fort Wayne, Indiana skate park.
Yes.
I love that park.
Okay.
It's got a little mogul section in it.
Oh, that is nice.
Really fun to just zip around in.
Yeah.
Well, there is a bank to block.
Yeah.
At that thing where I was ollieing 6 feet away from the block, and the block was knee high.
Yeah.
It was nice tall.
Yeah.
I was ollieing 6 feet away and just spotting my landing a million miles away and just clacking right onto that thing and grinding off of it.
So sick, yeah.
Big, floaty ollies
50
with
50 grind.
Huge, nice clack in and 50 grind. About, I don't know, 6-8 feet long.
Yeah.
You know, just ollieing earlier and earlier, and realizing, oh, if I ollie really early, it's super easy to pick and choose my landing.
Just like find a spot.
I was having such a good time.
Like having to call the FFA for like
clearance
to land.
Clearance on this.
That's so sick.
And I was like, big ollies, big floaters, nice. And I could have done that.
Yeah. Oh,
I could have done that all day, and I never thought of flipping out. I never thought of switching to 5.0.
No.
Never thought of turning it to Smith.
Yeah.
I never thought of going 50-50 to tail.
Sure.
But I think if I were to have moments like those, minutes like those, days like those more often, I might start like 50-50 and then switch to tail and out. 50-50, switch to disaster, skirt and out. 50-50, maybe nollie off of it, you know, like come off and begin to do that. But I don't have people in my life beyond like a few lone people that I really feel safe skating with and feel good skating with. I don't have and I'm happy for the trade. I'd rather be who I am and not have those things. You know, I'm not griping, but I thought, man, now I think I can go back to the way I used to solo skate, which was I used to build out my skills. Like I wanted to have really good ollies, so I would do 100 ollies in the morning at the little park near me. You know, and I think that I'm going to start doing. And I used to have a skate list. You know, I think I need to start, you know, doing a few flip tricks. Nothing on the long axis.
Dude, nothing on the long axis.
Nothing on the long axis.
Yeah, come on, dude. No.
Which axis is that? Which is the X and the Y and the Z?
I think
the Z axis.
Kind of dependent on.
I think it's the Z axis, which is the long axis. So you've got X. You've got Y.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And Z is over the middle. It's fine. It's like three-dimensional. Who cares? I don't know. I kind of actually do care.
Maybe
That's interesting.
I will as well. You know, maybe I will as well.
I'm encouraged to hear that. I've been in such a weird zone with skateboarding. I mean, when I moved from Colorado, I had been going so much, and the parks were so close, and they were so nice that I had begun to kind of like reach sort of an echelon of skill.
Yeah, like
that was really
kick
robust.
Flips at will, nice ones.
None of that, but definitely like backside nose blunts and huge, massive, long frontside 50 grinds and ollieing over huge tabletops and doing some rail tricks, and I had really just over time kind of accidentally fallen into some skill. And I moved, and I've kind of been coming down from that and trying to find my place inside of skateboarding.
More comfortable hat, sorry.
And you know, trying to figure out, well, how much time do I want to devote to this? How important is this to me? Do I care about being really good? And very often when I go skate, I feel kind of a depressed feeling. Like I just am like so over it and do not care. And I can't tell if that's indicative of a place in life I'm in, or in, you know, I don't know. It is indicative of the place of life I'm in, but I don't know if skateboarding is the problem or I'm the problem. So
I have a similar feeling. We have a strange thing with skateboarding. It's a passion pursuit. It costs us when we skateboard. You get hurt.
For sure.
We're supposed to get hurt, we're told. It's supposed to be worth it to grab the brass ring, but it's not. It's not worth it. We have families, we have kids, we have jobs. Breaking an ankle skateboarding used to be a medal people would get. It is a painful realization that this is mostly filed under ephemera. And we've been told and taught since our youth that this is meaningful to a degree that doesn't ring true when we begin to discover the more important things of life. And so there's a bit of a bitter pill. We're black pilled on skateboarding.
It is. There is. I think that
I
might.
see some comments here.
Equestrian sports are very similar.
Karen Nowicki,
That's awesome.
in from Bangor, Maine.
That's awesome.
Says equestrian sports are similar. Maybe we're just diving into the book of Ecclesiastes.
Yes.
You know, dear listeners, I think that a great way to decide that you don't want anything to do with any of this is to read the book of Ecclesiastes, because the opposite can happen as well. But I'll tell you, your reaction to it will be authentic if you give it a good read.
Yeah, I think that's honestly part of the pain that I feel when I skate is because I think especially as men, my opinion, especially as men, we're looking for vocational.
It's misogynist.
I know. There it is. It's fine. I'm gonna rub my eyes. So, as men, I'm gonna stand by my statement. As men, we're looking for vocations or battles or arenas to live our lives in that have real, that feel like they have real purpose. That we're supposed to be. Yeah, we're supposed to be overcoming. We're supposed to be killing dragons and monsters and saving people who are weaker than us and helping. And there's an aspect of skateboarding that is like it's almost an image of those things in some ways. Like the battle represents the hard work that it would take to kill a dragon and save the girl or whatever. And it's so disappointing to have the realization that actually it is totally ephemeral and not
Such
important. And it is, dude. And it holds no real true value outside of kind of like a subjective, like life pursuit, a passion project, like you called it, which I think is a really great way to talk about it. And I think that's part of the disappointment that I'm feeling. So I'm kind of landing inside of that disappointment and then trying to re-engage and recalibrate and then ask the question, well, is this something that I want to spend a whole lot of time doing? And it's funny because when I go to a thing like the conference that you went to, or I go, to Chicago to see my buds out there and I'm surrounded by other people, I feel that same passion about it because I love being around them and I love that we can be doing something together that is challenging and that we can encourage each other to do. But just on its own face, it's hard to see skateboarding as highly valuable, and the disappointment there is really robust. So
many times I will go out. I have I'll go out and have a a ride on my motorcycle.
Yeah.
And I'll look at my motorcycles and I'll look at how likely it is that I'll lose my life on a motorcycle ride one day.
Yeah.
Some rides I'll have 3 or 4 people make deadly mistakes.
Yeah,
I do everything I can to be seen and heard.
Attempts on your life.
They are.
Yeah.
They are. It's a very jarring reality. It really shakes a guy.
Yeah.
And a guy asks himself, is it worth it?
Yeah.
The wind in my face and the sky in front of me, and is it worth it? And some days the answer is yes, and other days the answer is no, and then accompanying it is an observation that almost nothing is worth it.
Yes.
I work in roofing.
Yeah.
Is it worth it to fall off a roof for money?
Yeah.
Is it worth it to drive to work on crazy highways and things like that? And there is a meaninglessness that lies at the core of every human endeavor and every human aspiration and every human appetite.
Yeah.
And that meaninglessness is an evidence that we universally need transcendent realities to be at the foundation of who we are. That is one of the echoes of our having been created by the God of what people would call the universe. I might call the cosmos. Maybe I would rather, instead of using these Carl Sagan universe type NASA terms, I might use the term realms.
Yeah, sure.
Stardust. And that then when we connect with the Almighty, we connect with the reconciliation with the Almighty, and that has been provided through His Son on the cross, predicted and proclaimed by the prophets. And I mean, it's just unbelievably well evidenced. It's actually believably well evidenced.
Yeah.
When we connect with that, then we begin to backfill meaning into things.
Yeah.
we begin to see the value in things, not so much that what I'm doing is valuable. It becomes not hashtag thank you skateboarding, but it becomes hashtag thank you for skateboarding.
Yeah.
Here in skateboarding, I've learned, I've seen, I've met. There we begin to see the flowers start growing out of the manure.
Yes.
And I think that we live in a time where a vast portion of our culture, our society, our country, our world have ignored on purpose that we were involuntarily created by one who voluntarily created us for his own pleasure, his own purposes. That he joys in us, he loves us, and he has valued us scandalously highly in the Son of Man who gave himself for us. And it's all right there in Holy Writ, but the counterfeits and the cowards come along and they tarnish it.
Yes.
It's so tarnished, it's almost just full black right now. It's very hard for people to hear this, see this. But it was hard back then, and Jesus didn't make it easier. He said to them, he who has eyes to see and ears to hear. And so this remains a bit difficult for folks. But skating with the boys over the weekend, I came away with, you know what? This is something in my life that is part of the present who I am. A word about false brotherhoods and sham counterfeits. Biker brotherhood, skateboarding, family. It's all just a shadow of what's actually being offered in the Son of God for all of us. So it particularly bums me out when skateboarding is some form of worship to a deity that's actually just a corporation selling you a $150 shirt. I see that. Polar shirts for $150, shorts for $150.
I know.
They were nice. I mean,
Did you buy one?
No, but I also started thinking, hanging out with these young people, I realized that my fit is mid.
Your fit is mid.
So
Stop, dude.
I'm gonna have to address my fit. I saw that.
Just listening to you talk about this, it's reminding me of a story that I think about very fondly. When the first time I went snowboarding in Colorado with my friend in Chicago, who we talked about before, was the first time that we had snowboarded together, and we were both pretty good snowboarders. He's probably better than I am, and he definitely is a fan of the battle. That's kind of the way he engages with life. And I think that he maybe was feeling a little bit insecure, because that's also a part of the battle as well, as the driving insecurity and shame along with it. And so we were going snowboarding, and we were getting to the top of the lift, and I just looked over and I was like, dude, you know what? I think maybe we should just pray before we go. And so we just sent up a quick one, just thanking, the Almighty for the day and getting to be together and having so much fun. And dude, it was really funny, because it really set the tone for the rest of the day. Like, we both, I think the Holy Spirit really came and moved, and we both really felt at peace inside of who we are before God. And this snowboarding we got to do just felt like such a treasure that we got to enjoy for the day. And dude, he was shredding. Like, it just unlocked it. Like, all that shame kind of melted away. And we really got to enjoy just being out in the snow, the surf, the being together. And he's such a good snowboarder. He was coming in at like Mach 10 through all the moguls, and it was so exciting. I was really enjoying watching him be so freed up, and it revved me up to snowboard. And it really, I think what you're saying is really true, because what we're talking about in skateboarding, I think, is universal to most things. I don't understand how, I don't know, there's so many people so passionate about stuff, and I have a hard time understanding that sometimes, because all I can see is the pointlessness of all of it, and something deeper is at work. And when we can kind of touch into that a little bit, it's funny how it engages us in the things that we're doing. They become not pointless anymore. They become really enjoyable and fun, and really sets our dials. And obviously that doesn't work every time. You can't just pray in the parking lot and then send it, but sometimes just a nice reset will do it for you,
I wouldn't be against trying praying in the parking lot and then sending it.
Yeah.
It's not. There's a lot going on there.
Yeah.
Well, I think we'll leave you with this much today, dear listeners, and with a big thank you to those of you who listen and support the podcast.
Yep.
We, of course, have had, about a month and a half?
Yeah.
Yeah, about a month and a half of more sporadic.
Yeah.
Because you guys had a baby.
I got a little man.
He's so little.
Dude, he's so little.
Yep.
He's actually not that little for his... Anyway, he's small.
Did he get a percentile number?
I don't know that we have a percentile. He's just cute. He's just like a massive baby.
Super cute.
He's so cute, dude.
He's going to be growing.
Dude, it's freaking me out, bro.
And Mama doing okay?
Yes.
Yeah, that's important.
She is. I mean, we're in like the throes of first-time parenthood, so like everything is like, and then you're like, it's fine.
It's like only 3 to 5 things that even matter at all.
Dude.
Everything else is fine.
Our pediatrician, it was so cool. We went to our pediatrician with all these concerns and stuff, and she told us, she was like, yeah, my first daughter, our first kid was her daughter, and she was colicky for the first 4 months, and the pediatrician was literally like, she said there was a night where she was like, I'm either going to set this baby down in the crib and let them freak out for the next 15 minutes while I take a shower, or I'm going to throw this baby out the window. So she opted to set the baby down in the crib. She went and took a shower, and she came back, and she said that somehow her kid had gotten up like over the top of the crib and was just on the floor, still just having a total freak out. And she just picked her up. It was like reset her, Yeah. And it was so encouraging, especially for my wife. We all just took a deep breath and were like cackling with laughter because it's just not that serious, man. Kids are fine. Like, just make sure that they're alive and they know that you love them,
It's like almost impossible.
Yeah.
Without the presence of grandparents and wise pediatricians.
Yeah.
People in your life who've been through it.
Yeah.
It's really, really difficult for them to. It's really I think it's too much to ask that first-time parents chill out. I just think that telling people to chill out oftentimes makes them more tight.
Yeah.
And because then they sense disapproval.
Yeah.
And the thing is I don't have feelings of disapproval for first-time parents who are freaking out about their kids, and even more what an amazing thing when a child is born without serious defect.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And what an amazing thing it is to be grateful for the baseline.
Yeah.
But also, when a child is born with serious defect, to be grateful.
Anyway,
Because I read in my Bible that it is the Lord who decides those things, and we can trust Him in the middle of all of it.
Yeah.
It blows my mind.
Yeah.
It really does. I actually kind of sort of almost opened it right up to it.
Did you really?
Well, it was like Jeremiah's like, what are you talking about? I can't do this. And then God's like, what are you talking about? Don't you know I'm the one? And I'll find it later, but it's early in Jeremiah, and it's so good. It's weird that in the Bible, God takes the blame.
Yes.
God takes the blame for circumstances that people want to make sure people don't blame Him for,
Yeah, and we're so busy trying to get Him off the hook. And
we're trying to get Him off the hook for the difficulties we have, but so often the difficulties we have are absolutely avenues through which the deeper, more transcendent, more profound blessings of knowing God and experiencing His love are being made available to us. It's very hard, very tough on us, because we often have our minds set on keeping these bodies of ours satisfied and sleek and fit, or fat and happy. Yeah. So, these are all things to think about, dear friends, as we go on forward. But I'm going to keep working on my list. Yeah. And I'm going to see what it looks like. I'm not going to accomplish the whole list, maybe in my lifetime, but I'm going to look at what are the things I'd like to do. I've got a spot in mind. I really would like to do a certain thing, and it's just a big ollie out to 50-50 grind. It's at the St. Bernard Bowl. I've been able to do that forever.
Dude, that's like a gapper right there,
It's not
dude.
that big.
Is it really not? In my mind, it's bigger than I thought.
It's just not. I mean, I should just be going out and just collecting the 50-50 on
We
it.
should go to the beach one first and do the one up the
Yes,
Euro gap.
but there's
That would be
always
great.
kids sitting on it, but
I
I'll
know,
shoo
but
them
we'll
away.
move 'em, we'll
We'll
move
shoo them
'em,
away. Give them
yes.
some stickers.
Yeah,
and tell
right,
them
here,
not-
go away.
Tell them if they get hit, it's on them.
Yeah, go hug your mom. Get out of here.
Well, again, thank you, dear listeners. We really appreciate the support. How do people support us?
Through the Podbean app.
Can
or
they just
website.
PayPal us?
They could PayPal us if they wanted to.
What do we have? What's the PayPal?
The CapmLew podcast.
The CapmLew podcast
At the
at gmail.com.
Yeah, so they use an PayPal has always been confusing to me because yes, that's the email that's on there, but our username is the CapmLew podcast, and I don't know which.
So when they go on
search
PayPal, they can
Yeah.
just send it to the CapmLew podcast.
That you should be able to. Yes.
We are about to probably very soon, just on schedule, sometime around June, July, August. We're going to be shifting over into some different activities.
Yeah.
We're not going to tell you what they are, but they're merch.
But they are merch.
So enjoy thinking about it. God bless you, dear listener.
Yeah.
This one I feel more fine afterwards, so I wouldn't say it's on you in terms of I don't think it was bad. I don't feel like I did too bad. I did say shitting.
Yeah, that was with 2 D's though, so it doesn't count.
I feel good about that. I feel
said
like that.
asshole.
Did you?
I think so.
Don't say that.
The whispering.
Don't be an asshole. I started calling out the boys for using Mormon swear words.
what were they like? Frick.
Yeah, frickin'. I heard some people saying frickin'.
Frickin'.
And I was like, yo, don't use Mormon swear words.
Yeah, come on, dude. Yeah, language.
I love you guys. We'll talk to you soon. For what it's worth, CapmLew.
Laters.